Racism has turned us all into small, inauthentic selves. Because of racism, we are not who we were created to be. None of us. It distorts and deforms, confines and constricts. Racism has turned us all into small, inauthentic selves. We only need to turn on the news for a few moments to see, to witness, to attest to the suffering experienced by people of color in the hands of racism. Racism, both overt and subtle, yet insidious just the same. Immigrants fleeing poverty and seeking a better life die of dehydration in the desert because locals refuse to give those people water. Syrian refugees are told they are not allowed in this or any other European country. Islamophobia is touted as simply a national security measure. Young African American girls and boys are taught from an early age how to interact with police so as not to get shot, and yet they still get shot and they die. Racism kills. And then there's microaggression, the so-called innocent banter and joking, and the not-so-innocent and unconscious behaviors and actions. Being ignored in a meeting or having your contributions accredited to someone else, which happens to women as well. Being told to go back to where you came from, though you're a fifth-generation American from California or Texas. Or more subtly, constantly being asked, so where are you really from? And along the way realizing that you will never be seen as from here. Constantly feeling, because of the behavior of those around you, that you're dangerous, that you're a threat, that you're not to be trusted. These microaggressions, long-term, are anything but micro. The lifelong cumulative effect of microaggressions wears down peoples of color as a drop of water slowly erodes a rock. Racism has turned us all into small, inauthentic selves. The brilliant novelist Toni Morrison was interviewed on the PBS show Charlie Rose and was asked how does she feel having to live with racism? What did it feel like to live with racism? But instead of answering the question, she flips it on its head and asks the white Charlie Rose. The question should be, how do you feel? She goes on to describe the ways that racism distorts and deforms, confines, and constricts white people. She says, and I quote, "The people who do this thing, who practice racism, are bereft. There is something distorted about the psyche. It is a huge waste. It's a corruption and a distortion. It's a profound neurosis that nobody examines for what it is. It feels crazy. It is crazy. And it has just as much a deleterious effect on white people as it does black people." End quote. Racism distorts and deforms, confines and constricts. Racism has turned us all into small, inauthentic selves. Like the lamenter of Lamentations, Morrison calls on white people to search and examine their ways. And then with a lamenting heart, she dares to vocalize, to place into the world the question to white people that should have been asked, that must be asked. What are you without your racism? Who are you without racism? Racism has turned us into small, inauthentic selves. As with all forms of oppression, the line between victim and victimizer are not always so clear. I'm a Latino, which means that I am a mestizo, mulatto. I have the blood of the conquered and the blood of the conqueror running through my veins. In the words of Justo Gonzalez, I am beyond innocence. This is my racialized and blurry reality, which is true for many of us. Moreover, since race intersects with other realities, privilege and oppression may reside within the same person. For example, although my great-grandmother was West African, I am light-skinned. I am, dare I say, in some ways, white. And I have benefited from my whiteness. My Spanish whiteness has opened doors for me that have been closed to some Latinas and Latinos because of their African blackness and because of their Amerindian brownness. Lastly, the lines are so also blurred, as Toni Morrison notes, because in oppression, the victimizer becomes the victim of their own discriminatory devices. Hence, in this blurred existence marred by racism, the attempt at deep community is futile. Racism has turned us all into small, insignificant selves. It distorts, it deforms, confines, and constricts. It has turned us all into small, insignificant selves. What are we to do? How now shall we live?